It's not really that crazy to think that if there is something inside of us that wanted to thrive, like a parasite, that they could influence their host to make decisions that create a more hospitable environment for their kind. These microbial organisms absolutely have the ability to steer the thoughts, emotions, and actions of their host. Sounds an awful lot like possession to me. When you get cravings for unhealthy foods, that isn't you. It's the parasites. Fast on juices for a week and you'll see what I'm talking about. You won't be able to think straight at first, just like a drug withdrawal.
If this is your first time hearing any of this, then I would take it slow. Research real people who've succeeded with fasting. Starting a detox too fast will shock your system, and when these parasites start dying, it's gonna make you very sick. This is the key reason why some medical experts will vehemently claim that it's unhealthy. True, if done too quickly and incorrectly, it can create something akin to the Herxheimer reaction that happens when people take antibiotics, though that's never been reason enough for them to stop prescribing them. The difference is, with juice fasting, you aren't bombing your stomach and killing off every organism, good or bad. Still, it's best to take it slow, as the dead organisms need time to clear out. The enzymes and bacteria in fruit will eventually take over and allow the gut to reach a state of balance. Let me just put it this way. You have beings inside of you that just sit and demand what to eat, they feast all day long, and then they poop inside of you all day and night. If you still don't see the connection, then let me make it very clear. Parasites have the ability to affect your mind. This isn't just conspiracy talk either. Do you guys remember Osmosis Jones? The bacteria were directly influencing his mind. It had access to his most personal deep memories. This is exactly the case in the real world. It's not just food either. The tendency to over-masturbate is controlled by these parasites. When you release an orgasm, not only is this a huge release of spiritual etheric energy, but this ends up creating a hormonal disbalance, and it also causes adrenal fatigue. The parasites can benefit from all of this because what tends to happen is your kidneys will be overworking, and eventually, you're not filtering out your blood so that you become more and more toxic to the point where most of your endocrine system fails to operate as it should. You might say, well, my blood tests show up fine. Yeah, I wouldn't rely on that. One of the most important functions of the body is to keep the blood alkaline. All this toxicity and waste is being removed by the lymphatic system. We'll only see problems in the blood once it becomes very serious. That goes back to people thinking they're just fine. Well, we usually don't become aware of disease in our body until it manifests as a serious issue. Most people don't consider that maybe most of their tiny symptoms like tiredness, headaches, bad odor, depression, and itchiness are the first signs that something isn't right. But what do most people do? They go to the doctor and get these symptoms suppressed with what they assume will be a quick fix. These chemical medicines do not solve the issue, they just suppress it. Eventually, it will come back, and when it does, it will be a full-on disease. That's the scariest thing, is that these parasites will give you the impression that everything is okay. If you were trying to tell me this stuff a year ago, I wouldn't buy it. I'm one of those people who literally never gets sick. I'm always very positive, so I just attributed it to that maybe my immune system was strong, but I was wrong. I have had symptoms my whole life, and I have never had the eyes and awareness to realize that it wasn't normal. I was in denial. So don't get scared. But there is a truth to this that I know many are not ready for, because what this all has to do with is a complete change in how we live our lives and perceive reality. And I realize change is scary to most of us. I understand that we can't all be Buddhists and just remove ourselves from all desires. We've been born into this modern way of life, not realizing that in order to coexist in this modern age, one must fall into sin to one degree or another. I know that might sound strange, but if you're on a computer, then technically you're sinning. But that's the thing, we all have to balance. We can't just completely remove ourselves from society. We can take it step by step. And maybe one day, a change will take place in this realm. And as we grow spiritually, this process will become easier and easier. This video is not a solution video, but more of a discussion. A challenge to question everything we know about every facet of life. If we can accept that we have parasites, we can start to see why this would be connected to demons. Parasites are beings of death. They thrive off of death and rotting. They too can have an influence on your dreams. Here's an example. One evening, I went to bed feeling pretty good until I woke up from a very strange dream. In the dream, there were these white spiders inside of my body coming out of my mouth. They were white fuzzy spiders. I woke up and I felt absolutely horrible. My throat hurt extremely bad. I go to look in the mirror, open my mouth, and all I could see were these white fuzzy dots on the back of my throat. I had strep, and I swear that I had no feeling of a sore throat before going to bed, so it had nothing to do with like my subconscious picking up small details or something. No, this was a dream about parasites in my body right before I got sick. Luckily, I recovered in one day from drinking apple cider and eating plenty of fruits.